Hello, viewers. Here's the Mindful Man, just reading another chapter of Ghost School, which is on Amazon KDP. They had to step over the weeds on the pathway, which looked as if they had been designed to obstruct anyone curious. The rusty gate creaked loudly, sending crows flapping into the air as they mimicked the sound. They gingerly stepped inside, brushing cobwebs away from their faces that hung like a veil. The room was dimly lit with broken towels on the floor and pictures hanging at an angle. There was a small kitchen and wash basin full of broken, dirty crockery. It looked like it hadn't seen washing up liquid or a good mop for an age. A few creaky-looking rocking chairs faced each other at each end of the living room. There was a bookshelf stuffed with dusty books, and a wooden table stood looking lonely and unpolished in the centre of the room. "Wow," said James, "this is so spooky." "Yes," said Tom, "ain't it great?" James was now acquainted with his Americanisms, and he wasn't annoyed. The girls tiptoed gingerly into the room, watching where they stepped, as the floor was thick with grime. "This is amazing," said Lucy, "just like a fairy tale." "More like a nightmare," said Anne. It's just like the Brothers Grimm." Lucy ran her finger across the book, scattering cobwebs and dust everywhere. She looked at the titles, and they were all concerning medicine and history and geography, all subjects you know nothing about. Anne grabbed a book and flicked through it, sending a puff of smoke into the air and into Lucy's nostrils. Lucy sneezed heavily, the sound reverberating round the room and startling more crows who filled the sky outside the cottage's broken window. Tom and James sat at the table and looked down at the rusty cutlery and two glasses which were definitely not going to be filled. In the middle of the table was a large, heavy-looking brown book. They wiped the cobwebs off and began leafing through it, and to their surprise it was a photograph album. At first it was full of beautiful photos of the woods in all seasons and photos of the lovely roses that once grew outside the door. As it turned more pages it became less optimistic and more dark. In the middle of the book it showed a couple holding hands and looking like they were in love. James quickly realized that the woman in the book was the librarian. He called out to the girls and they rushed over, and he pointed to the photos of the couple. Lucy gasped and even Anna looked impressed. They crowded around, eagerly awaiting the next surprising turn of the page. There were more photos of the happy couple holding hands and walking through the woods looking content. James leaned closer and he realized where he had seen the man's face before. The school yearbook. The girls recognized him and proceeded to turn the pages with mounting excitement. The further they got into the book, the less happy they appeared. The man seemed to frown more, and the librarian looked more gaunt, with a look of passion blazing in her eyes. Their mood seemed to darken with the seasons, bright and loving in the spring and cold and angry in the winter time. When they got near the end there was a dramatic change, as there was no more photos of the couple, only of her. "Wow," said Lucy, "I wonder where he's gone." "Maybe they've split up," said Anna. "You don't say," said Tom with his usual dazzling smile. They turned the page to see a strange photo of a small fire with a hat and scarf laid ceremoniously on top. "Holy smoke," said Anne, "she's burning his stuff." "They must have had a big row," Lucy intoned. "Sure looks like it," said Tom, "or maybe she killed him." "Maybe she turned him into a frog," said James helpfully, but no one laughed. They turned the next page apprehensively. All of the photos were scratched out, all except one. It was a mound of earth that had been created, looking ominously like a grave. "Oh my God," the girls said together. "She did kill him, and he's buried in the woods." "He must have cheated on her," said Tom, as if this was justification. "Maybe you want to stay celibate," said James. "Too right," said Tom. The rest of the photo album was empty. "I wonder if anyone else knows about this," said Lucy. "They must do," replied Anne. It was at that moment that the shutters banged together, making everyone jump. Tom marched over to close them. "It's just the weather," he said. The girls were relieved until a picture flew off the wall and shattered into pieces. "I think it's time to go," said Tom, trying not to sound scared. They all agreed and set off back into the woods. The sky had darkened and the woods took on an ominous quality. Each snap of a twig or hoot of an owl made them jump and walk a little quicker. Lucy and Anna were holding hands, comforting each other, as Tom and James marched on confidently before them. "I hope we don't go anywhere near that horrid grave," whispered Lucy. "Don't mention it," said Anna, who always thought of herself as a bit of a tomboy, but she was losing her resolve. Tom and James made small talk until a piercing scream from behind them made them jump out of their skins in fear. "Oh my God," said the girls, hugging each other and crying. "It's the librarian. She must have realized we'd been to the cottage." Hope you enjoyed that chapter. Please sub me.